Earlier this year at E3, I got a quick hands-on with Ubisoft's latest toys-to-life brainchild, Starlink. Now, after sinking some serious time into the Atlas system, I can confidently say that this sprawling space adventure adds up to far more than just the sum of its spaceship parts.
All right then, pilot at the ready?
Check.
Wings attached. Weapons check. Punch it.
Welcome to Atlas. All units, brace yourselves.
They've never used Starlink before. Go show them what it can do.
Starlink Battle for Atlas is a vehicular space combat exploration game set in a vast, unexplored universe full of mystery and danger.
And right from the get-go, you're dropped straight into the middle of the adventure, which does mean you're left playing catch-up with a lot of the story. A young crew of pilots known as the Starlink Initiative are being led by a scientist on the hunt for some space relics.
Proximity warning.
It's not long, however, before an evil force known as the Forgotten Legion ambushes your ship, the Equinox, kidnapping said scientist and leaving your crew stranded.
No.
It's a pretty by-the-numbers story with a ton of extra sci-fi stuff thrown in just to complicate things. None of which is explained all that well, and some of the voice acting is super cheesy.
Should be just enough to get us airborne again.
Yeah, or just enough to be blown to pieces.
But it does set up a world that I was keen to get out and explore.
And fortunately, what's here to explore is massive. The Atlas system is made up of 7 huge worlds that you're free to fly to and from as you please. Arriving at a planet, you punch through the atmosphere before cutting your engines and transforming into a kind of hover tank that can strafe, hop, spin, and blast its way around, which makes traversal and combat far smoother. But I must say, for a game all about starships, I was surprised by how much of it takes place on the ground.
Yeah, I actually think that breaking up the gameplay between the two vehicle styles keeps things really interesting. Mixing up the fast-paced space dogfights with strafey shooty missions on the ground. And blasting back into space from the planet's surface is always exhilarating. It's quite a familiar feeling, wouldn't you say, Gem?
Totally. To say this game takes some inspiration from the recently updated No Man's Sky would be the understatement of the year.
Yeah, the similarities are everywhere.
Seamless interplanetary travel, collecting minerals, scanning wildlife, battling space pirates. However, Starlink does make a solid attempt to build on and improve these ideas. Speaking of which, we should talk about the most unique feature of Starlink, the toys!
As the game centers around your starship, Ubisoft have developed customizable figures that attach to your controller, allowing you to switch around everything from your ship's wings, weapons, cockpit, even the pilot.
It is a really clever bit of tech, and it never got old watching my little plastic starship materialize on screen, even if it was a bit of a wonky design.
It really is quite magical, and it's not just for show. Your ship will handle differently depending on its build. Elemental weapon types need to be changed to target different enemies. Gear can all be modded. Plus, you're always leveling up your pilot and your ship. Also, if you happen to have more than one toy ship on hand, you can use it to continue playing if your ship's destroyed mid-battle. This only saves you respawning back at a checkpoint, so it's by no means essential. It all sounds like a lot to manage, and unfortunately the menus don't do the best job of explaining it all, but eventually you should find a ship loadout that you like. Personally, I always picked a fast ship with a mix of fire and ice weapons to gain a critical thermal shock bonus.
Uh-oh, this ain't looking good for you.
Mixing and matching up weapons is a blast. But Goose, let's explain what you need to buy to play. First of all, you can complete the entire game with just the starter pack. Buying extra weapons, ships and pilots is entirely optional. Secondly, while the starter pack for each console version comes with a single toy ship, pilot and weapons, you can purchase the game and gear digitally, meaning you don't need any of the toys and can do your ship customization from an in-game menu. It is a bit less fun without the physical toys, but it still works well.
And finally, the Switch version includes an exclusive character, Fox McCloud, his R-Wing, plus extra missions all weaved into the main campaign.
Let's rock and roll, boys.
It's actually a huge bonus for Switch owners and a great nod to fans of the old Star Fox games.
Dual barrel!
This one ain't worth the trouble. Let's scram.
Well, with that sorted, we should talk a bit more about the gameplay loop that opens up after those first few hours. Your main objective involves liberating planets from the Legion, and this is done by destroying extractor towers. Not only do these gain you precious cores to sell for currency, but it weakens the primes, giant boss creatures roaming about the planet, which themselves must be defeated to lessen the powerful dreadnoughts, deadly ships back out in space that deploy more units to nearby planets. On the one hand, it's a clever way of stacking up the challenge and giving you control over how difficult you make each fight. However, it also gets incredibly repetitive.
Yeah, it sure does, especially considering the longer you spend away from the fight, the more the Legion will reclaim, forcing you to continually be destroying towers and liberating planets. You'll also need to build structures such as observatories to open up the map and armories that continue to defend while you're away. But these require allies and currency to build, which means lots more exploration and resource gathering. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed all the planet management stuff, but I couldn't shake the feeling it was all being dragged out for more than it needed to be.
I know what you mean. Fortunately, the vehicle combat and controls are super tight and enjoyable. So even after defeating my 100th extractor tower, I found I was always drawn back to chip away at something on my planetary to-do list. Like upgrading outposts, or helping poor alien animals infected by the spreading Legion corruption. I also really appreciated how they've included split-screen co-op, so you can bring along a wingmate. There's even a sort of autopilot follow mode, so you're not always losing each other. It's just another in a list of unexpected features from a game that, I'll admit, I thought was going to be pretty gimmicky from the toys and all.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jim. I did not expect this to be such a deep game. And I certainly didn't expect to get so much giddy joy watching my physical toy starship tear through an asteroid field or across an alien planet. It may be a long slog to save Atlas, but you know what? I'm keen to see it through. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
It's such a delight to see an idea like this come to life with such a solid game behind it. While the campaign does eventually begin to feel like busy work, reusing many of its best ideas, Starlink Battle for Atlas still deserves points for its ambitious scale and scope. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.
All right, which one do you want to play with? No, that one's mine.